Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Ryan Havican coming at you from the Norfolk Community TV station in Norfolk, Massachusetts. I am here to give you the know-how on one of the biggest conventions to ever be held in the US, a place where all things pop culture are put on display, and where geeks, fanboys, and fangirls from all walks of life come together to celebrate what they enjoy. We've got all that information and more right here as I take you inside Comic-Con. Welcome to our second installment of Inside Comic-Con. Now, last time I talked with you about what this whole convention is all about, of how it all started out as a small get-together for comic book fans and writers in San Diego, and to this day has evolved into the largest convention in the US. Thousands of fans attend these conventions, and because of this, those fans have a chance to show off how dedicated they are to whatever it is they are a fan of, even dress up as their favorite characters. So today I would like to talk about what kind of attire people can wear at this event, whether it is cosplay or casual, and to explore how people who attend the event can be best prepared for it. Now, before we continue, I know what you're probably thinking. What is cosplay? Well, for those of you who don't know, cosplaying is defined as a performance art in which participants wear costumes and fashion accessories to represent a specific character. The characters that cosplayers represent can come from movies, TV, books, video games, and even Japanese animation. Hardcore fans are known to partake in cosplaying, with some of them putting a lot of detail and work into their costumes to make them look as real and as authentic as they can make it. There are many people who have had experience with cosplaying at Comic-Con and at similar conventions. You'll be surprised to know I have such an expert with me right here. Joining us today is Jess Jozwik, who has attended the PAX Video Game Festival and has done cosplay for such events. So Jess, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure for you to be here. So, tell me about your experience with these kinds of conventions. Have you ever been to Comic-Con before?
I haven't been to Comic-Con yet. I'm planning on going to the Rhode Island Comic-Con this November. But the big conventions that I've been to so far have been PAX East, which is a gaming convention in Boston.
Yeah, I believe I've heard of that convention.
Yeah, it's pretty big, like 80,000 people. So
is it mostly video games?
It's video games and like tabletop games, like board games and tabletop RPGs.
Oh, so it's all kinds of those games.
Yeah.
Kinds of games. Interesting. So, if people like you are attending an event of this type for the first time, what kind of advice would you offer them so that they can be better prepared?
I'd say one of the biggest things is to go on their website and read all their rules so you know what you can and can't do. Like, if you can bring water, definitely bring water, but if it's against the rules, obviously you can't. And like, if you're cosplaying, you'll want to know what their rules are, especially as far as like fake weapons and stuff. So if you can bring them, if you can't, if you have to mark them a certain way.
Right, because some security might not tell what might end up being dangerous and what might not.
Exactly, especially in today's climate. And the other piece of big advice that I would give is that if you need help, to ask for it, because these conventions are usually really good, especially about people with disabilities, but you can't get help unless you're asking for it.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, what do you think is the best kind of thing to wear at the convention? Casual or cosplay, and why do you think so?
Well, I obviously think cosplay is really fun. And if you are cosplaying, make sure you bring something else comfy to wear, especially when it comes down to shoes, because you're going to be walking all day, you're going to be in cramped convention hall spaces. And if you are going in casual clothes, you're with your tribe, so people are going to recognize the stuff that you're wearing. People will be like, oh, you're wearing a Spider-Man shirt, that's cool, what's your favorite issue of Spider-Man?
Right, like the one.
Yeah, and it's really, it's like signaling to your people what you're into and what, like, you can have conversations with people that you wouldn't necessarily have in like real life, because everyone there understands the nerd stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, like even if I'm either at a convention or not a convention, I would see a casual person walking down the street wearing a shirt with something that I would recognize, like an entertainment property that I would recognize.
Yeah, so. And at a convention, it's like everybody is wearing this. So like the stuff you're really into, you can, like, right now I'm wearing a Critical Role t-shirt, which is a really obscure Dungeons and Dragons show. And at a convention, I have people come up to me and be like, "Oh, I love that show. Like, who's your favorite character?" And it makes it a lot more fun and socially engaging when you're like wearing the clothes of your people.
Oh yeah, like even I can tell, like even if it's like a small, little known property, if you're at the convention, there are other people that know it. That has a very nice community feel to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what kind of costumes have you worn before?
I have made a whole bunch. I make costumes for myself and my daughter. And we've done a lot of video game costumes. She's been Alice Angel from Bendy and the Ink Machine. She's been a Minecraft Creeper, a Minecraft Enderman. I've done Aloy from Horizon Zero Dawn. For comic ones, I've done Victoria Hand from Marvel and Typhoid Mary from the Marvel comics. Right now I'm working on Abigail Brand from the X-Men comics.
Oh, so it's like characters that have appeared in movie and TV. That is nice.
Yeah.
And games as well.
Yeah.
Like I said. So is this, so you said daughter. So you do this a lot with your kids, like a parent kid thing that you do sometimes?
It's because I like to take her with me, like to get out of the house and try new things. And even at Halloween too, like she's got to have a costume.
Oh yeah, totally.
I hand make a lot of her costumes, and we go out together, and it's a lot of fun. And she'll help me like find all the details of the costume that's important to her, stuff that I like don't even notice.
Yeah. So you two work on them together.
Yes, it's a lot of fun.
And what kind of quality is the costume like the level of quality?
It really depends. Some of them I kind of mostly throw together out of stuff in my closet, and some of them I spend upwards of 100 hours working on, like sewing all these pieces. Aloy from Horizon Zero Dawn, she has 14 necklaces because I had to make every single one of those. And she's got like a bunch of like leather pieces and fur. And that one's probably the one that took me the longest time.
Oh wow, yeah. I mean that makes sense, because there are a lot of cosplayers out there whose costumes are so meticulously detailed.
Like one of the ones I'm working on now, she's got embroidery all around her skirt, and I'm just hand embroidering all of it, and I'm like a quarter of the way done, and I think I've spent 10 hours on it so far. So it can be a lot.
Well, I'm sure, but I'm sure it pays off in the end.
Yeah, when you like put everything on and do the makeup and do the hair, and it's really, really cool.
I'm sure it is. Yeah. So which costume is your favorite, and what makes it so special to you?
This past year at PAX East, I dressed up as Jester from Critical Role. And Critical Role is a Dungeons and Dragons show, so you don't really see the characters a lot, and so there's a little bit of like creative license in what you can do. So, and Jester really likes donuts, and I'm a heavier person, so it was nice to be able to dress as a character that might have the same body type as me. And it was like, sounds kind of cheesy, but it was the first time like that I was dressed up and felt comfortable in my own skin, even though my skin was blue. And it was awesome, and it's such a small fandom that like people got so excited to see see someone dressed up as one of their favorite characters. And like people would run up to me and scream, Jester! And I'm like, oh yeah. And I also, that day I stopped at Dunkin's before I went to the conference, so I had a box of munchkins. So anyone who recognized my costume, I'm like, here, have a munchkin. And it was so nice, and it felt like really good and like very validating. It's just that I looked good and I looked like the character, and
yeah, well, that's
really important to me.
Yeah, that's the thing with a lot of cosplayers, is that they can choose a character that they like or they can relate to, and this is obviously good for you, because this is a character that you like, that you could look like if just simply put the costume and makeup on.
Yeah, and horns.
And horns. Oh, so it has horns too. That another cool factor. If I had to see a picture of it, I probably get it.
Will send them to you.
So I got one more question for you. What kind of tips and tricks have you found throughout your time cosplaying?
I think the one thing that before I was cosplaying, I didn't even think of, but once I started making my costumes, I quickly figured out the importance of having a community and having buddies who do this hobby too. Because with any hobby where you're making stuff, you don't know everything. And like one of my costumes, my dress was just like a little bit too small. And one of my friends was like, oh, you can just buy this like basically piece of ribbon with little hoops on it and sew that right under the zipper and thread a ribbon through it to make like a corset back. And that was awesome, and I never would have thought of that. And I never would have, even like Googling that wouldn't have come up because I wouldn't have known how to phrase it. But having people that also do it and that you can like kind of hash out your difficulties with, especially if you're making like armor and stuff like that, it's really good to have people.
Yeah, that sounds good. And people to help out, like if you need, like if something falls off or if you need someone's help to put it back on, or yeah, that can be good. That little sense of community and other people liking what you like and helping you out, like to be there. Like if you're the only person wearing this kind of costume, but this person wears another costume from a fandom, that can probably be good because it shows that community. Yeah,
it's really cool, and it's a really fun community to be a part of.
That does sound fun. All right, well, thanks again for coming.
Thank you again for having me.
Of course, for those who aren't as skillful in this, or if they simply don't feel like wearing a costume, they can choose to just wear casual clothing, such as what I am wearing right now. Either way, it is important that you dress the part, so you'll fit right in with everyone else. Alright, now, just to be clear, Comic-Con can be held pretty far away from where you live, and there are different conventions in different cities held throughout the year. So you might not end up going to the actual convention, which is fine. However, if you are thinking about attending the convention, or at least one of them, the best thing to do is to make sure that you are prepared for this. Since there are going to be a lot of people and so much to do, you will need to stay on top of things. In that case, there are many ways to be prepared, and there are several rules, tips, and guidelines that one can abide by. When going to the event, you will need to plan your visit ahead of time, with things like finding a hotel room and packing a bag with snacks, drinks, and a charger for your phones or tablets that you might bring. Also, if traffic starts to pile up in front of the convention center, you can simply walk down to the convention or use the trolley system that is within the city of San Diego. Another important thing to consider when preparing is to plan out what your day will be like. As I have mentioned before, there are a lot of panels, booths, and activities to visit. Since the event lasts for 4 days, with a preview night on Thursday, map out what you are going to do and where you will go during the days you'll visit the convention. This way, you'll know exactly where to go during the day, and you won't end up getting lost figuring out what you want to do next. With plenty of cool stuff that you will come across, there will be a number of opportunities for pictures and photo ops. However, it would be polite to at least ask the panelists, cosplayers, and celebrities if they mind to have their picture taken first. For the panels, they will have Q&A sessions at the end, so make sure that your questions count if you plan to ask any. If the stuff inside the convention feels a bit crowded for your tastes, then there are other activities that are set up across the street, behind the convention center, or at a nearby hotel and eatery. So even if you aren't inside the convention center, there will always be something to do for the event. Also, there is going to be a lot of merchandise on display, and most of them can get very expensive. Make sure that if you want to buy something, you use your money on something you really want, and don't just spend money left and right randomly. With these tips, you will be able to have a great time at the convention, for those who are attending it for the first time, and be ready in case there are any problems or plans change. Okay, that is all the time we have for this episode. Don't worry though, we have another episode for you coming up. Since this year's annual San Diego convention is not too far away, join me next time after the event, in which I will discuss the biggest highlights for the associate of a local comic book shop, Friendly Neighborhood Comics. I'll discuss with him how an event like this can have a big impact on their business and the appeal of the books that they sell. Until next time, keep anything you're a fan of alive, and I'll keep you all on the flip side. See ya!